Well, Sonic fans, it's kinda weird being in the future. We've been living in the 2020s for a few years now, and I'm sorry, but I think it's been kinda sweet. After almost 20 years of Dark Age this, Meta Era that, it seems like Sonic the Hedgehog is on a different path now than he was only a few years ago. Only a few years ago, I was spelling doom and gloom and fitting in with the toxicity surrounding the franchise. But then I grew up a little bit and realized I don't need to take a franchise about a talking blue animal that seriously. But I feel like as a result of this, the universe has rewarded me. The universe has rewarded us, the Sonic fanbase, of having Sonic be in the best place he's been in his entire history. I truly believe that the 2020s have been the Sonic Renaissance, bringing the character newfound popularity, success across all forms of media and markets, with an insanely bright future ahead of him full of theatrical films, television series both animated and live action, multiple video game releases, and one of the most impressive turnarounds when it comes to licensing and marketing I have seen in present day. So although we are still in the very early 2020s, I thought we'd take a look at the decade so far and see why this decade has been the Sonic Renaissance. But real quick before we get into that, I'd like to introduce today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Yahaha. Yahaha is a brand new user-generated content creation platform for 3D multiplayer interactive experiences. So with Yahaha, anyone can create and publish their virtual experiences without coding experience or server knowledge. Simply use the available templates, components, and smart assets in Yahaha Studio to make your dream games. They even have a built-in asset library with over 100,000 different assets at your disposal. They're stored in the cloud, so they're ready for you to use at any point. There are so many cool creations that you can make on Yahaha. For example, I use this hide and seek template to make my own little hide and seek game, where you can choose a variety of 3D models and you can transform into them while playing the game. It's as easy as hitting this play button in the top right corner. It's so fun, and it being easy to use adds to that. I know a lot of my fans and a lot of the Sonic community at large are incredibly creative and love making their own thing. This game is the perfect way to do so. So what are you waiting for? Download Yahaha today by clicking the link in my description, and you can join Yahaha's early access for free right now. Thank you to Yahaha for sponsoring this video. This era for Sonic started off as big and positive and explosive and early as you could possibly get right out of the gate. In February of 2020, we received the very first Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Kind of similar to how Sonic Colors indicated where the franchise would go for that next decade, I think the Sonic movie did a very similar thing at laying the groundwork for where this franchise will go in the future. And while I'm sure this was entirely not intentional, it is kind of funny how the universe works. This was an amazing start. Not only did the movie perform very well financially, but it hit on all fronts with critics and fans alike. But only a few weeks after release, the pandemic hit, and basically the rest of the year was a wash. I could talk about small things like mobile updates and merchandise, but I really wouldn't be doing anything. But I think more importantly than anything, 2020 really laid the groundwork for where Sega and Sonic needed to go in the future, and that was more of a multimedia focus. Years ago, a couple months after the first Sonic movie, I made a lot of videos discussing that I believe the Sonic franchise needed to go in a multimedia direction, and that sticking strictly to video games was going to do nothing but hurt it. While Sonic always had toys and comic books by his side, the Sonic movie showed that Sonic was still a very popular and viable character in today's market, and that Sonic needed to tread more in the direction of other media, with games taking less of a front seat role, because not only do the games consistently hurt the franchise more often, but they need more time in the oven for a quality and successful title. I basically started the entire conversation around Sonic Multimedia, this being the quote-unquote multimedia era. At the time, people thought I was crazy, everyone was making fun of me. And now look what's going on, everyone agrees with me, I was right! Yes, I'm petty! Sonic's 30th anniversary came and we got Sonic Colors Ultimate, okay whoop-de-doo, and yes, I bought 3 copies, I'm not ashamed. But even in that year of Sonic's 30th anniversary, it was Sonic's 31st anniversary that we really should have been looking forward to in 2022. Because so far, even regardless of the quality of Sonic Frontiers and Sonic Prime, this has been the Sonic year I have dreamed of my entire life. We received Sonic Movie 2, another theatrical Sonic release that was a major title and broke box office records again, and even beat out the first in a post-pandemic era. Not just that, but it did better critically and with fans, and when I say it did good with fans, it went over about as well as you could hope, with the film sticking very close to Sonic source material. This saw a slew of more licensing and marketing for Sonic, with him plastered all over the place. This has also been a great year for the video games. We received 2, Sonic Origins and Sonic Frontiers is coming very soon. Sonic Origins Origins didn't have the best launch. In fact, I have never played the game, I don't own the game, but still nonetheless, the fact that it exists is something. It is a new piece of Sonic content, regardless what I or others may think of it. And if that wasn't good enough for you, around 5 years without one, we're getting a brand new Sonic the Hedgehog TV show later this year, Sonic Prime, coming to Netflix. Some people have questioned the amount of Sonic the Hedgehog TV shows we received over the years, but I believe that it's essential to the franchise and character to have them at the core. TV is an extremely accessible market, Netflix is the biggest streaming service in the world, and it's the perfect way to introduce new fans to the franchise. I wouldn't be a Sonic fan if it wasn't for Sonic X. I know so many other Sonic fans who are introduced to Sonic the same way, and this applies to all the other fans who are introduced to Sonic through different shows. This might sound like I'm slewing off a bunch of Sonic the Hedgehog content that's been coming out, but this is all this year. All alone in 2022, we've received all of this content. This has been the most busy year for Sonic content we've received in the character's history. Why this is so impressive is the turnaround that the franchise has had. Under 10 years ago, back in 2015, Sega was going through a complete restructure because of the failure of Sonic Boom. The franchise was up in question, and many companies, including Sega, were questioning if Sonic was even viable anymore in today's market. We weren't receiving any content, maybe one thing a year, and the thing that we got usually was lackluster or just came and went. And only a few years later, it's like a miracle happened and Sonic the Hedgehog is at the top of the world once again. But clearly this isn't a miracle. God didn't say, I'm gonna have Sonic be good for a few more years. Something obviously occurred that influenced a Sonic movie 2, that influenced a Sonic Prime to happen, that influenced Sega to go all out with a AAA Sonic release in the year of our Lord and Savior 2022. Well, it's simple. It's what started off this decade, the very first Sonic the Hedgehog movie. You might be saying, Ricardo, we know you love this thing, this is a very subjective opinion, but what if I told you there was facts and logic to back it up? According to Sega Sammy themselves, after the release of the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, there was a sharp increase in business offers to license out the Sonic the Hedgehog IP, meaning companies saw the viability in the franchise and the fact that they could make money off of it, which is why you're seeing stuff like Sonic Prime, which is why when you go into Target, you're seeing significantly more Sonic the Hedgehog merchandise than you did years prior. And while licensing might not be as interesting or significant to other people, it is very significant to me. One of the fan favorite series on my channel, Sonic Merch Hunt, has been a long running series that I started all the way back when I was a kid in middle school. The series was birthed out of frustration of not seeing Sonic the Hedgehog merchandise anywhere I went, and a character like Mario, who should be Sonic's equal, was getting such better treatment.
Sega! Sonic Team? Come on, I want to see some freaking Sonic stuff.
Now if you flash forward to current episodes, it's a completely different story. If anything, I see more Sonic merchandise in stores now than I do Mario, which is kind of crazy.
Dude, look how much stuff we have today. This is the best episode of Merch Hunt ever.
I'm just trying to highlight how significant and how dramatically the Sonic franchise has shifted in the past few years. This is going to be a year that is very, very, very hard to top, and I'm looking forward to talking about it more in our annual Sonic Yearly Roundup video that we do every New Year's Eve. Because while yes, we do have Sonic Frontiers and Sonic Prime on the way, we haven't received them yet, so we don't know how good they are. But if there's one thing that I can already tell, is that they exude confidence. Like I said, I think the Sonic movie sparked something in Sega and everybody when it came to Sonic. They really tighten up their bootstraps and they're getting to work. This is our first quote-unquote AAA full-budget Sonic release since all the way back in 2014 with Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. Ever since then, we've been receiving budget titles which has been under the $60 price tag, slowly rehabbing Sonic back into where he could be today. It truly seems like Sonic Team is going for it. They want to make the next definitive Sonic release, the biggest step forward for the franchise since Sonic Adventure all the way back in 1999. This is what is intended to be the future, and that makes me extremely excited. But it's not like all ends here. While 2023 doesn't have as many confirmed projects going on that future years and this year had, there's still stuff to look forward to. We're getting our first live-action Sonic the Hedgehog TV show in the form of the Knuckles spin-off series set in the Sonic movie universe. We're not sure when that will be coming out, but of course stay tuned to find out when that happens. In addition to that, more Sonic television will be on the way, with more episodes of Sonic Prime being released some point in the year as well. A new Sonic mobile game is currently in the works that is described as being more ambitious than previous titles, so that's exciting. And of course, Sonic Movie 3 is on the way in late 2024. The future of this franchise has never looked better, and neither has the present either. Never have we received so much content so quickly, and neither have we had so much content already in the works and planned. There have been so many discussions around what Sonic should be or should should not be? Should he be more game focused? Should it dive into the other media? And I've always said both. Why can't we have both? And I think Sega thinks that as well. Sonic doesn't have to be one thing. He never has been. He's always been intended to be a multimedia mascot for Sega, a big money maker for them, and oh boy is that what he's doing right now. It's just that at some point along the way, Sega stopped viewing equality and just wanted to get as much stuff out as possible. Led to Sonic being a laughingstock in the online community and receiving so much mediocre to bad content that it nearly killed the franchise. It wasn't a great time to be a Sonic fan for a long time, I'm not gonna lie. And while I don't want to call things too quickly, it seems like Sega might finally know and understand what they have to do. After years of needless shakeups to the franchise, using their mascot, their icon as a test subject, constantly putting him in harm's way when it was never necessary. But now they're collaborating, having other people help them out with the franchise, making quality content, and truly focusing and honing in on what the future of this character should be at not just video games, but in general. At the time of this video releasing, Sonic has never been in a better spot in my opinion. You can debate that there have been better times in Sonic history. We've just never really seen anything like this in 2022 in my opinion. I believe that we are currently living in a Sonic renaissance. Now this could get derailed if Sonic Frontiers ends up being a massive disappointment, and I don't believe Sonic Prime will, but there's always the possibility of that too. There is the possibility, but I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that will not be the case and that will not be happening. If Sega and their partners at Paramount, Netflix, IDW, etc. continue to make quality content at a consistent rate, Sonic will be in a great position for the rest of his run. Sonic has been in a constant roller coaster for the past 20 years, and the fanbase has as well by proxy. After being on a roller coaster for too long, you can get dizzy, you get tired, you just kinda want off at some point. We occasionally find stability, and they take us on a couple more loops and our heads start to hurt. But now, I think things are starting to finally mellow out after 30 years. I could not be more excited for the rest of 2022, and I could not be more excited for the future of Sonic the Hedgehog. But all we could really do at this time is sit back, enjoy the ride, and pray that Sonic the Hedgehog will be in an amazing place for years to come.